Expert, a web series designed to provide you with practical information on business and finance. I'm your host, Nicole Pride. So today's guest is none other than Usama Young, widely known for his 8-year NFL career where he played with the New Orleans Saints. Perhaps one of his biggest highlights during his NFL career was when he helped the Saints win Super Bowl 44. So Usama's NFL career is quite distinguished. Usama was named the Browns Byron Whizzer White Award winner, which acknowledges players' impact in the community on the field and off the field. He also was a recipient of the Raiders' Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, which gives NFL's players their highest honor for recognizing a player's excellence on and off the field. So you may have noticed there's a theme with those awards. You see, beyond the field is Usama's philanthropic work that has gotten him many highlights, and it's the reason why we have him on today. We want to delve into the work that he's been doing since his retirement. Since his retirement, Usama has worked or is currently working with the NFL's Player Engagement Department, where he is helping players who are coming into the game and retiring off the game with their financial literacy. And then also, he has a wonderful program called Believe in You, which is changing the trajectory for youth all across the nation. So we are so happy to have Usama with us. Welcome, Usama.
Thank you. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for the overview. It made me light up just hearing about some of the things that I've been doing, but looking forward to doing more in the future.
Yeah, it made you light up. So it's interesting. I did see a post that you made on social media earlier this year where you were really contemplating legacy and the work that you want to be remembered for. And so we are just so happy that you're here with us to talk to us about what you're doing with the NFL, which is part of your legacy. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yes. I currently serve in player engagement at the NFL league office, and it's cool because I tell people this all the time. I was able to win the lottery twice. I got to get drafted to the New Orleans Saints, and then after I played out my years with the Saints, the Browns, and the Raiders, I ended up finding a position at the NFL where I can now support the guys that are sitting in the seats that I once sat in. So in player engagement at the league office, we serve, we equip, we empower, and we support the player and his entire ecosystem. I mean, when I talk about his entire ecosystem, I'm talking about his family, his friends, his head of player engagement, those at the clubs. We want them to be aware of what this player is going through, some of the issues, some of the challenges that he might have navigating his years throughout the NFL, and providing him with the best support so that he could have success on the field and off the field.
Yeah, so that sounds awesome. So did you have that type of support system when you were on the team?
Absolutely. It's part of the reason why I do what I do. When I first got to New Orleans, there was a guy named Fred McAfee, Fast Freddie. Fast Freddie was our head of player engagement there. And I would be remiss to not tell you that I had some challenges when I first got into the league. I was coming out of Kent State University. Yes, I was huge in the community. It was shortly after Katrina, so I wanted to do as much as possible in the community of New Orleans. But at the same time, the priority was to make the team, was to start, was to be a contributor for our team's success. And at times there's challenges. I got injured. I had some rough practices. I had some rough games. And yeah, I coupled it with some success here and there. But Fast Freddie was one of those guys that I could lean on when I was dealing with challenging times. He also was someone that I could lean on for advice, for support when it came to business decisions, when it came to resources around the building. He just showed me the way, and several other guys around the Saints facility. But having someone like that throughout your years, Fast Freddie was my first, and I would say he was my first mentor in the league. But he was also family, and he still is. So being able to support the individuals that are now serving as heads of player engagement at each club, that's tremendous. That's first off a fairy tale ending for me, but it's also something that I really do take pride in. I want to provide them with the best resources to support the players. We do it through financial education, continuing education, professional development, and personal development. And when I think about financial education, financial literacy, as some people would say, I know that as a young player, that was the most money that I'd ever had in my account. And it was a lot of decisions that I had to make and hopefully make responsibly. But I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have the right education there. And that's what we provide, or one of the things that we provide from a player engagement standpoint.
That sounds so awesome that you had that support system for you individually. So when did the engagement department start with this program that you're offering now? Because this sounds like something that's more structured.
It's actually been going on for years. It was
Okay.
there when I was playing. I spoke about Fast Freddie and how valuable he was to my my transition into the league.
Okay.
But I also utilized our continuing education support. I didn't graduate after Kent State University. After my years playing at Kent, I didn't graduate. I was drafted to the NFL. I played a season. While I was in season, I started to think, wow, I need to finish up. And my mother was constantly reminding me that I needed to finish up. I needed to get my degree.
That's mom
And
for
I
you.
ended up, and was that?
That's mom for you.
Oh,
That's right.
absolutely, absolutely. Even after I got drafted, I'm on a call. I'm crying tears of joy. I'm happy as ever. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's time to finish up now." So she reminded me, and in my second year playing, I was able to go back to Kent State, finish up, walk with my degree, and I utilized the benefit that the NFL Player Engagement Department provided. Professional development sessions, off-season workshops, rookie development. That's all part of what player engagement does. Now I get to be an added member from the locker room that gets to contribute to the player support system.
Yeah, that speaks to your mindset. The fact that you were playing and then going to school and wanting to finish and actually finish. You know, you hear a lot of things about professional athletes, that they're not always as focused. So I think that's just a huge testament to your mindset and what you've been able to accomplish. So, what do you go ahead? Mhm.
I gotta say, it's so many of us that do though.
Mhm.
In this day and age, and this is why I love this platform that you have. You're highlighting positive stories. There's so many negative stories that circulate throughout our society, but specifically, I'll say within professional sports and the NFL, you hear about all the negative stories, but we don't take a break to celebrate all the positive stories, all the positive things that guys are doing. And I'm just one of the several that go back to school that finish up, or either some of them finish in 3 years and go on and get advanced degrees. I had to wait a little while before I pursued the advanced degree, but it's a lot of guys that don't necessarily get that clap, that don't get their roses, and we don't celebrate them enough.
All right, that's right. School me, school our audience. We need to hear that. Thank you for that. And so, what do you find is the biggest challenge for athletes, particularly as it relates to financial literacy, particularly coming into the game and transitioning off into retirement? And what type of support system do you offer?
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot there. But I'll immediately say, and this is where I was ahead of the game. You want to keep up with the other guys in the locker room. You get drafted or undrafted, and after a few weeks, you start to make some pretty significant checks, getting some significant increase in your bank account,
Okay.
and you wanna spend, you wanna get jewelry, you wanna get cars, you wanna show it off with the designer clothes. And that can be tough in terms of peer pressure, keeping up with the Joneses. We've always heard it. And to be honest, a lot of the guys that come in early on, they're nowhere near that level in terms of income. So
Mhm.
I say, first off, living beyond your means, and that doesn't just it isn't just to the locker room. That's in our society as well. But for guys, also a lack of education. I'll speak about my own upbringing. My time in understanding with money as a young person, I viewed my parents' spending habits. It was typically to save, to spend. We saved money to fix a refrigerator, to fix a car, to buy the children, myself, school clothes, school equipment and materials, all that. Pay for sports, but we typically don't save to invest, and that's something that these players are now able to do. Saving money to invest, setting a budget, tracking your spending, things that we don't necessarily have habits of early on in our young professional years. With that being established early on in their rookie sessions, which we have throughout the year, we have sessions on budgeting, we have sessions on taxes, we have sessions on credit, maximizing credit, how to not use your own money when making purchases, and understanding the value of that high credit score when acquiring greater assets. So those are some of the topics that we touch on. Then we continue the education when we do wealth management workshops during the off season for players to tap into and learn even more and take their financial education even further.
Hmm. Yeah, you're talking about your own experiences and experiences of other NFL players, but you're so right. This is across the board, right? So even someone who's not in the NFL and they get their first five-figure, six-figure, seven-figure salary, there is the pressure or the enticement to spend on those things that show your level of success, right? So,
Absolutely. I had a Nissan Altima my rookie year. It was about 10 years old, and everyone in the locker room joked around. They clowned me about it. I had that car for 3 years. Now, once we won the Super Bowl, I had a little bit more money in the account. That's when I finally went out and got that big purchase. But I,
okay.
I I drove my college car for the next 10, well, for the first 3 years of my professional career.
Hmm. Well, anyone who's hung around D Free for any amount of time will hear how we always encourage people to drive that car until it basically falls apart in the road, because it loses its value as soon as you drive off the parking lot from the
Yes.
dealership. So this is so great. One thing that comes to mind is how now with the NCAA, how student athletes are able to have sponsorships and endorsements and things like that, which is a game changer. Any advice that you give for our up and coming professional athletes?
It would be very similar advice to what I initially spoke about. Track your spending, but before you even track your spending, understand what your income looks like. I immediately think about the NFL as an experience. I might slip up and say career here and there, but it's truly an experience. Careers usually last 10 or more years. The NFL average is around 3 years. So
Mm,
you have this experience in which you're making a lot of money, whether it started in college or it started in the NFL, that will eventually end, and it'll end abruptly. And those huge checks that are coming in, they stop. Now, what are you going to do? And if you're spending beyond your means, if you're not tracking, if you're not understanding that it needs to be a level set there, that's when you fall into financial duress, or you see some of those things that you need to make abrupt changes with now. So I would say to the young student athlete that is benefiting from NIL, first off, more power to you. I wish I was able to benefit from that plan, but make the most out of it and understand that those funds are a great head start to financial freedom later on down the line.
mm. I didn't realize the average tenure of an NFL player. Was that always on the back of your mind when you were playing?
You know what? It was. When I first declared that I wanted to go to the NFL, I was a freshman in high school. I was in my English teacher's class, and she asked us to talk about our goals. And she went to me, and I said, I want to go to the NFL. Real nonchalantly, I want to go to the NFL. She bust out laughing, and
Oh, what?
and she didn't leave it at a laugh though, because I was discouraged by her laugh, but I kind of touted my chest up a little bit more, and I said, Miss McNeil, why are you laughing? And she said, because I want to know, do you know how long an NFL career usually lasts? I want to
Mm.
know if you even know the average salary. I want to know how if you know the number of people that are trying to make it to the NFL that don't make it. And with that, I started to do my research. I started to ask those questions, and I came back the next day with the answers. But then she
Okay.
said, if anything, anytime you've gotten injured, which I was at the time, I had a broken arm, it should be a reminder that the NFL isn't going to last forever. So start thinking about what you're going to do after and how you're going to add value to our society, or what you're going to find passion in once you're done with football.
Okay. So she didn't kill your dream completely. She just put a dose of reality around.
Miss McNeil kept it real, kept it all the way real.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you connected with her since you made the NFL?
You know what? She actually passed away at the end of 2023, and her daughter reached
Oh,
out to me and asked me to speak at her funeral. So I spoke at her funeral.
oh
I let
man.
everyone know that she was one of my favorites, and her daughter told me that I was always one of her favorites. Miss McNeil was I mean she kept it real with me, but so many other students she imparted her wisdom on, her love in, and I always remember and love her.
Oh, what a wonderful way to honor her. That was special.
Yes.
So, okay, so if let's transition to Believe in You. I love the name. It's a play on your name, Usama, I assume, right?
Yes, yes.
So what made you want to start the organization? I believe in 2009.
Yeah. So, of course, playing in the league and having a impact or a potential influence on community, that was a big part of it. But from my most fond memory was at around 4 or 5 years old. My family went out in the inner city, DC, and we would provide the less fortunate with meals. It
Mm,
might be spaghetti, it might be salad, it might be cornbread, but we would come together as a community, as a family, and provide meals. And I would pass out the utensils, or I would pass out napkins, and that let me know right there that even if we don't have a lot, which my family didn't, we didn't have a lot, we could always find a way to help others. Now, flipping it, about 20 years later, I was able to acquire some funds. I was able to acquire a strong foundation of people that would support me. First off, starting with the NFL and the New Orleans Saints, but I said, you know what? I'm doing all this community work. I'm going and speaking to schools. I'm volunteering. We're building homes. Why not do something that could last? You talked about legacy at the start of this conversation. This is something that my little ones can eventually take over, and they can run and make a huge impact in the community. But we started Believe in You, yes, before I had children. And it was a play on my name because I was always telling these young people that I spoke to at the high schools and middle schools and elementary schools that I believe in them.
mm,
I believe in you. I believe in you over and over again. And you saw them light up from
mm,
hearing that, someone else believing in them. But I knew that me believing in them wasn't enough. They needed to believe in you. They needed to believe in what they could do and the accomplishments and the success that they could have. So we started it with the focus on football and cheerleading camps and bringing them together through football, through sports. But the end game was to educate, and we strive to empower our youth through education and volunteerism. So we'll go out, we'll do these football and cheerleading camps, which we no longer do anymore, but now it's community days where we volunteer around these inner cities. We clean up neighborhoods, we do work together. We harp on the importance of civic engagement, financial education, economic empowerment. Um, we advanced to doing college tours as well. The first college tour that I did was at Dillard, UNO, University of New Orleans, and Tulane University. And those were eye-opening to me because there were so many young students that had no idea if they wanted to go to college, had never been on a college campus, but now it was seen as something that they could do. The one thing that I've always shared is college isn't for everyone, but I do want you to see the potential or the opportunities that are out there for you.
That is so awesome. And yeah, talking about legacy. So it started with your family and community,
Yes,
and then that was instilled with you inside of you. You create your organization, and to your point, who knows where your kids will take it? And it'll just continue and continue. That's pretty awesome.
yes, yes. That's the plan. That's the
Yeah.
plan. Thank you.
So, can you tell me the structure of your organization? So, is it that you partner with other local groups, or do the events come out of your office, or how does it work?
Yeah. We'll partner with local organizations. We'll partner with local schools. Currently, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I typically go to the schools, high schools, adolescents. Adolescents are my sweet spot. And I feel like it's something about being an adolescent. When you're young, you start to feel yourself a little
Yeah.
bit, start to think you know a little bit more than you do know. And every now and then you get that reality check. The world might bring you the reality check, your parents, your teachers, your peers, but all in all, you get checked. And how you respond to that is huge. So we go out and we do chalk talks, myself, sometimes some of my colleagues, my friends, I say my brothers, my teammates, will go out and do chalk talks at these various schools. The chalk talks consist of specifically what I mentioned earlier, financial education, community, the importance of education, but then setting goals and figuring out how you want to achieve those goals throughout. But we'll do these chalk talks. We speak to the guidance counselors. They'll bring up some of the students that they think are great fits for the college tours, and then we go out and we make it happen.
So, your children, are they younger than adolescents, or they?
They they are, and
That's what you're talking. You're talking all sweet about the adolescent years. Wait
yeah,
until
you,
yours become
you know why I say it. You know why I say it because I've spent so much time around young people, like,
yeah.
and I'm cherishing these days as my little ones are 8 and 5.
Mhm.
Ari is 8, Zion is 5, and I'm just like, look, whatever you all want to do, we're going to do. We're going to swim. Ari's a swimmer. Zion, you want to play baseball? We got a t-ball for him. You want to play football? Y'all both could play football. Violin. We're going to do violin. Drums. We're drumming. So those years, those formative years, it's about experiences. It's about checking it out, seeing if you enjoy it. And as of right now, they enjoy everything. If it's new, they're trying it out and want to see if they fall in love with it. As adolescents, it's like, yeah, they'll experiment, but at the same time, it's something about that mind in which, you know what, it's about to click to those young adult years. And these decisions that they make have huge consequences or could be positive, could be negative, but we want to rear on the side of the positive in it all.
Okay, so a plea for your children in the future, when they're testing you, just play this recording again so that you can remember how cute you think it.
Yes, yes, yes. I will. I will. That'll be my reality check. I talked about their reality check. That'll be my reality check.
Yes. So, how can a school or an organization partner with you? What's the process? Who do they contact? Where do they go?
First off, our website is believeinu.org. That's believe in the letter u.org. You go there, and then you can sign up as as a volunteer, or you can email us directly at info@believeinu.org.
Awesome. So, do you know roughly like how many lives your organization has touched over the years? That's a big number, I'm sure.
It's so funny that I just had this conversation with my brother. So my brother is stationed down in New Orleans, and he said, "Man, we keep getting these grants. We got to do a better job of tracking. We're working with all these schools. We're working with all these young people. From now on, we've got to track our numbers significantly because when we're talking about grants and getting support, they want to know. They want to know, hey, you got these thousands of folks that you're working with. All right, present it. Let us see it so we can provide support that's necessary. But no, I can't put a specific number on it. But this is a challenge for me moving forward.
Okay. This is an interesting point because we are going to start a series, if you will, about nonprofits and getting started, what are some recommendations you would give to someone else that has a philanthropic heart and they want to get started? Any advice for those?
I would say I made the first mistake. Well, I was at the time a professional athlete, and I made the first mistake of just utilizing my celebrity. I wouldn't do that. I would lean heavily on building a strong foundations board. That board have someone that could potentially write grants, have someone that is strong in the community, that knows the community, have some of those nice funders in there and also fundraisers.
Mhm.
But thinking about how you build out your board and what you want to gain from your board would be the first step. And maybe not first step, but understanding your why would be the first step. Because
Yes.
if you get into a situation where you're just doing it because you love it, but you can't necessarily say why you want to do it and what you want to accomplish, you're probably just going to go in circles. But understanding your why, putting together a strong mission statement, and then putting together a strong board that's going to check you, that's going to make sure everyone's held accountable and going in the direction of what that mission statement declares.
Excellent advice. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. So before we go, is there anything you want to emphasize with our audience today?
You know what? I'm glad you asked me because I was sitting here thinking about how we do chalk talks and everything. And I talk to young people, but I also run. I since hanging up the cleats, I now put on my running shoes, and that's how I stay active. And every day I run, I get out there, I move, I use it as a sense of therapy. So many people so many people deal with stress, deal with trauma. They keep it inside, and they don't necessarily figure out ways to get it out release it. Running is my way of therapy. Now I do see a therapist as well, but I want to encourage others to think of ways that they could, be active and cope with whatever they might be dealing with in life, whether it's this stress or you stress. And with my runs, I usually will post a positive message as well. My IG is Usama Young underscore on the run. I haven't been sharing my run messages that often now because I am totally engulfed in my work with player engagement at the NFL and believe in you. But if you do want a positive message, check me out. I'm going to continue to just inspire. I'm going to continue to think about that positivity, that positive mindset, that growth mindset, and my legacy.
That is so awesome. I was just having a discussion yesterday about one, it's just so great in the Black and Brown community. There's a lot more discussions surrounding wellness and mental health. But it just seems like the demand for that is just so high post pandemic, especially. A lot of people dealing with anxiety and different issues. So I so appreciate that message and ending on that note. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Hey, I got out and ran my first marathon. Never would have thought I'd do that. But
Wow.
but yeah, it's definitely necessary. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
How long did you train for that?
Hey, that's a whole nother story. You sure you want that? I
Okay.
I I started I started training about 5 months prior and I got injured. And then about 3 weeks to go, I felt healthy enough to run. My longest run before the marathon was around 11 miles.
Oh
So
my,
I didn't get close to
oh
26.2.
my
But
goodness.
on marathon day, I went out and got it. But yeah, that I would not recommend anyone go about running it like that. But once I declared that I was going to do it, I shared with everyone else. I had to hold myself accountable.
See, it's that mindset again. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
yeah.
you're definitely inspiring. Thank you for that.
No, thank you.
All right. Well, we so appreciate you taking time out of your busy, busy schedule to be here with us. And so there you have it, folks. There is another issue of Ask the Expert. Meet us next week, same time, same place. Bye.
Thank you.